Imagine standing on a lonely rock in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The nearest land is 20 miles away. The wind is screaming so loud you can't hear yourself think. Your only job, along with 2 other men, is to keep a single light burning. But then, the light goes out. On December 26, 1900, a relief ship arrived at the Flannan Isles Lighthouse, just off the wild coast of Scotland. The crew expected a warm welcome. They expected to see 3 lighthouse keepers waiting on the pier. Instead, they found an eerie, unnatural silence. The gates to the compound were locked. Inside, they found meals half-eaten on the table. The beds were unmade, and the 3 men, they had simply vanished into thin air. To this day, over 100 years later, no one knows exactly what happened on that rock. Did they fall? Were they murdered? Or did the ocean itself come alive to take them? This is the haunting mystery of the Eilean Mor Lighthouse. To truly understand why this disappearance is so terrifying, you first have to understand the location. The Flannan Isles are also known as the Seven Hunters, a rugged cluster of small, desolate islands in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland. It is a place of extreme, almost crushing isolation. For centuries, locals believed these islands were cursed. Shepherds who brought their sheep there to graze would never ever spend the night. They spoke of phantoms and little people who lived in the rocks, believing it was a place where the veil between our world and the supernatural was dangerously thin. But in 1899, the modern world decided to ignore these ancient superstitions. A massive lighthouse was built on the largest island, Eilean Mor. It was a true marvel of engineering, standing 75 feet tall on top of a 200-foot cliff. It was designed to be indestructible, a beacon of safety against the treacherous North Atlantic. In December 1900, the lighthouse was manned by 3 experienced keepers: James Duckett, the principal keeper with over 20 years of service, Thomas Marshall, the second assistant, and Donald MacArthur, an occasional keeper who was filling in for a sick colleague. These were tough, hardened men. They knew the sea, they knew the risks, and they were not the kind of men who would panic easily. On December 15th, a passing steamer noticed something unsettling. The light on Eilean Mor was out, but due to severe weather, the relief ship, the Hesperus, couldn't sail immediately. It wasn't until the day after Christmas, December 26th, that the ship could finally approach the island. Captain Jim Harvey signaled the lighthouse with the ship's whistle. No answer came back. He fired a flare into the sky. Still, nothing but silence. The island was completely, unnaturally still. Joseph Moore, the relief keeper who was supposed to begin his shift, was sent ashore in a small boat. As he climbed the steep, slippery stairs carved into the cliff face, he felt a growing sense of dread. He later said that the silence was heavy, like a physical weight. When Moore reached the lighthouse compound, he found the main gate closed. The front door, however, was unlocked. He stepped into the kitchen. What he found there has baffled investigators for more than a century. The fireplace was cold, the ashes old, meaning no fire had been lit for several days. But on the kitchen table there was food. Some reports say a meal of meat and potatoes had been prepared, but it was left untouched. A chair was knocked over, as if someone had jumped up in a sudden, desperate hurry. Moore then went to the sleeping quarters. The beds were empty, but unmade. And here is a crucial, chilling detail. Moore found only 1 set of oilskins, the heavy, waterproof coats the keepers wore when they went outside. 2 sets were missing. This meant that 2 of the men had gone out into the elements, but the 3rd man, Donald MacArthur, had apparently left the lighthouse in just his shirt sleeves, without any of his protective gear. In the freezing North Atlantic winter, that would be a death sentence. Why would an experienced keeper run outside into a storm without his coat? What could have been so urgent? Moore searched the entire island, but he found nothing. No bodies, no clues. Just the lonely cries of seagulls carried on the wind. But then, inside the lighthouse, they found the logbook, the daily record kept by the keepers. And this is where the story turns from a tragedy into a terrifying psychological horror. The entries leading up to the disappearance were strange. On December 12th, the keeper, Thomas Marshall, wrote, "Severe winds, the likes of which I have never seen before in 20 years. He also noted that the principal keeper, James Duckett, had become very quiet and that Donald MacArthur, a big, strong man known for his toughness, was crying. Just think about that for a moment. Why would seasoned veteran keepers be crying because of a storm? The lighthouse was a fortress of solid stone. They were safe inside. The entry on December 13th was even stranger. It read, "Storm continued through night. Wind west by north. Prayed to God." Lighthouse keepers don't usually write about praying in their official logbooks. But here is the most chilling part of all. While the logbook described a hurricane that made grown men weep, the official weather reports from nearby islands for those exact same dates show that the weather was calm. There were no major storms recorded in the area on December 12th or 13th. So what storm were they seeing? Was it only in their minds? Or was it some localized unnatural phenomenon that only struck that specific rock? The final entry was made on December 15th. It simply read, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." After that moment, nothing. The light went out and the men were never seen again. An official investigation was launched by the Northern Lighthouse Board, led by Superintendent Robert Muirhead. They meticulously examined the island for any physical clues. On the west landing, the side of the island most exposed to the raw power of the Atlantic, they found incredible damage. Thick iron railings were bent and twisted like paper clips. A huge block of stone, weighing more than a ton, had been ripped from its foundation and moved. A supply crate, stored over 100 feet above sea level, had been completely smashed open and its contents scattered. This evidence suggests that waves of unimaginable power had slammed into the island. We were talking about rogue waves, monsters of the ocean that can tower up to 100 feet high. So the official theory is this: on December 15th, two of the men, Ducat and Marshall, went down to the west landing to secure their equipment during a break in the weather. While they were there, a massive unexpected rogue wave appeared on the horizon. MacArthur, seeing the impending danger from the lighthouse, ran out to warn them, forgetting his coat in the sheer panic of the moment. Then a single catastrophic wave crashed over the landing, sweeping all three men into the freezing, turbulent ocean. Their bodies were pulled down by the heavy currents, never to be found. It's a logical explanation. It fits the physical damage found on the island. But it doesn't explain everything. If it was just a freak wave, why did the logbook speak of a terrifying storm days before the weather turned bad for everyone else? Why did these experienced men write about crying and praying when the sky was clear? Some of the theories are much darker. Did the intense isolation drive them mad? Cabin fever is a real and dangerous psychological condition. Could a fight have broken out? Did one keeper murder the others and then throw himself into the sea in a fit of guilt? That overturned chair in the kitchen might suggest a sudden struggle, not a rush to help comrades. Others point back to the old legends. The locals believed the 7 hunters demanded a sacrifice, and that the keepers disturbed the ancient spirits of the island. Then there are even theories about foreign spies. Back in 1900, tensions were rising across Europe. Could a submarine from another nation have secretly docked there? It sounds like something out of a novel, but in the world of unsolved mysteries, almost nothing is impossible. More than a century has passed. The Eilean Mor Lighthouse is now automated. No one lives on that lonely rock anymore, but sailors who pass by the Flannan Isles still say that when the wind blows from the west, you can sometimes hear voices calling out from the empty cliffs. 3 men went to that island to do a job. They faced something on that rock that terrified them to their core. Whether it was a wave, madness, or something from the dark pages of folklore, we will likely never know. They vanished in an instant, leaving behind only a cold, uneaten meal and a logbook that reads like a descent into hell. What do you think really happened on the Flannan Isles? Did the ocean take them? Or was it something else entirely? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories from the dark side of history.